Oh, hi, Mark. I'm recording this directly after I recorded the number 3 Blu-ray shelf collection, horror collection. So, just so you know, it's the same night. I don't know why I felt it necessary to tell you that, because it wasn't. But whatever. Let's get right into this. Outpost, Rise of the Spetsnaz. I actually mentioned in the last video that I do indeed own this. I do indeed own Outpost, Rise of the Spetsnaz, and I haven't seen it. I should. I mean, I will eventually. It's not on the top of my priority list at the moment. Why did I set it down there? I knew I wouldn't like it down there. Anyway, Panic Beats. This is the only Paul Naschy film I have ever seen, and let me tell you, not a big fan. I am not huge on Panic Beats. At the end of the day, it's something that I'll keep it in the collection. I didn't hate this movie, but I wasn't overly its biggest fan. So it's kind of disappointing because and that's probably not fair to Paul Naschy because I had heard so many good things. Paul Naschy this, Paul Naschy that. I didn't like that movie. I'll watch more Paul Naschy movies. I fully intend on even giving that movie a second chance, but I'm just not big on that one. Anyway, you know what? This is one that I actually don't even know if it's horror, which is kind of weird that it's in my horror collection, because I have no idea. I mean, if it is horror, let me know, or even if it's like thriller adjacent to horror, because a lot of these movies, well, at least a lot of the movies in my DVD collection, are horror adjacent sort of thriller movies. So as long as it's something along those lines, I'll keep it in. But Parasite, I haven't seen this movie. I know. It's gonna be like none of you in the comment because no one actually watches these. So there will be absolutely net zero people in the comments roasting me for that. But if I actually did get viewers, I'm sure you would be giving me a talking to at the moment. God damn it. If you could just quit falling over, okay? Alrighty, The People Under the Stairs. This is a good movie. I like it a lot. I like Wes Craven a lot. But at the end of the day, I think it has some silly themes, some silly messages there. So, I'm very torn on The People Under the Stairs. I think it's a pretty decent movie. Peninsula. I don't know, man. The sequel to Train to Busan. Train to Busan's a million times better. This is a decent movie. It's not that this is a bad film. It's that this is such a disappointing film. Because Train to Busan was so fantastic. And then you have this movie that's just kind of a generic zombie movie, except everyone's speaking South Korean. So you're like, man, I could be watching this and I wouldn't even have to read it. I would just watch any American zombie movie. So that's Peninsula. I'm not huge on it. I also don't hate it. Like it's it's moderately fun. It's just so disappointing. Poltergeist. Unfortunately, this is the 2015 remake. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Does it, yeah. Well, jeez. They missed the mark on this one. Such a generic film. I actually wrote out a review for this at one point on, I want to say it was on Horror Amino. No. I also was a part of a writing app called Inkvite. It was like a social writing app. I think I might have done it on that. I don't remember which, genuinely. But I think I gave this movie like a 4 out of 10. Not out of 5. That would be absolutely outrageous. But anyway, Poltergeist 2, of course, the 1986 sequel to Poltergeist. It's 1986, right? Yeah, 1986. I'm good with dates. Except that I fucked the date of Nightmare Weekend up earlier tonight. But anyway, Poltergeist 2, not in the video. Completely unrelated. I'm sorry. I'm getting off into tangents and I'm tripping over my words like a bitch. Poltergeist 2. Great movie. Not quite as great as the first movie, but it is pretty good. The Poughkeepsie Tapes. This is an incredibly disturbing movie. I know a lot of people talk about how the acting is bad or something. I don't know. I don't really have too much of a problem with the actors in this movie. There's some cheesy stuff with the killer. Like, he does weird theatrical things, and it's like, why? But then, this movie just gets into some really grimy... It goes to some really dark places, and I think at the end of the day, this movie ends up feeling very real, which is obviously what they're trying to do. It's a mockumentary film, and it is... Yeah, this is a gross movie. It just makes you feel grody inside. But I do recommend watching it. It's incredibly disturbing, at least in my opinion. It is. Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. You're damn right, I own a movie called Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Why don't you? Actually, that's a genuine question, because I love this movie. I've seen it all of once. I'm acting like you guys are like war criminals for not having owned Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken. I said chicken. Do you think that a full-grown man might be able to pronounce chicken? Do you think that might be in my vocabulary? Because apparently you'd be wrong. Apparently you would be wrong. You know what? Anyway, Night of the Chicken Dead. Yeah, I own this movie, and you should too. I think it's hilarious. I really actually did when I first saw that film. I have only seen it once, so I may change my opinion on it the second time around, but I think it's absolutely hysterical. Anyway. Psycho Goreman, and of course everyone and their mother has talked about how much they love Psycho Goreman. I like it quite a bit. You know, every once in a while the performances in this movie come across as cringy, especially like the children, especially her. I know a lot of people really love her performance. I kind of cringe at it sometimes, and I understand that it was supposed to be bad, that it was supposed to be super over the top, but I don't know. Certain things in this movie didn't quite work for me, but more things worked for me than things that did not. Let's just say that. It feels like one big gory episode of the Power Rangers, so there's that. Without Power Rangers, but anyway. Oh, that's sick. I was holding it upside down. Oh, neato. They're all upside down. Wow. Psycho. This is the Steelbook. Got it from Best Buy. I understand it's backwards because I have to know that I have a good angle on me. So I have to have the phone flipped backwards, the screen facing me, so I can see me, so I know that you can see me. I'm sorry for the way that I am. And you got the little circle with the shower head and the knife on the back and says, we all go a little mad sometimes. I absolutely love that cover art. At one point in time, this was actually one of my favorite movies of all time. This is actually, for like a year or two in high school, this was my favorite horror movie. I just really loved Psycho. I would watch it routinely. I mean, I still watch it yearly at least, like once a year, twice a year. This is a movie that I can just rewatch over and over again. And I swear to God, the ending never gets old to me. If you don't want Psycho spoiled for you, skip ahead, let's say 30 seconds. But the ending where Norman Bates is looking into the camera and then it fuses with his mother's face and they're pulling the car out of the swamp and it just end credits. I swear to God, every single time I watch this movie, it gives me chills. And I love that about this. Well, and the monologue he delivers at the end is fantastic. But, anyway, A Quiet Place. You know, this is a movie that I like quite a bit, and I understand why people love this movie like they do. But I personally don't love it like a lot of people seem to, and the big reason that... the big reason for that, for me, is it's just not very rewatchable. A lot of the movies that I love, that I just cherish and adore, are movies that I can watch over and over again. This just isn't one of them. I don't know what it is about this movie. There's nothing particular that I can pick out that I can be like, this is why I can't rewatch this movie 3 million times. It's just not a very rewatchable movie to me. So, Rabid Grannies. I'll be honest with you guys, I've seen this movie once, and when I watched it, I was like super intoxicated, so I don't really remember anything about this movie. I remember there are rabid old people involved. Do I get points for that? Alright, so the Real Gore collection. Let's see, what have I seen out of this? I have literally only seen one movie, which is The Orphan Killer, which I actually recorded a mini review, I think, for The Orphan Killer at one point in time, and then I had to delete it because shit was getting messed up on my phone. I think I was trying to record like a horror marathon sort of thing, but anyway, I failed miserably. My phone just doesn't hold enough space to do something like that. I need to get like a camera, but I'm just not ready to do that yet. I don't feel like I'm invested enough into this channel, and I also don't feel like I'm tech savvy enough to take the camera and then take the footage from the camera, upload it to YouTube. Like, I wouldn't even know how to do that. I don't even have a computer, to be fair. That's why I do everything from my phone. I don't have a computer to do any of this shit on. But anyway, The Orphan Killer. Fun movie. I haven't seen any of the others. I've heard that the violent shit the movie is absolutely god-awful. I have seen the original German violent shit films. They're pretty terrible too, but they're kind of fun. I kind of like them. But anyway, what the hell is this? Oh, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. It's a fun enough movie. Just when you thought it was safe to be dead. That's a funny quote right there. I like that a lot. I do ultimately prefer the first Return of the Living Dead movie, but Return of the Living Dead Part 2, I like it. And Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I went to go see this movie in theaters, and I thought it was really neat, and it is really neat. This is one of those movies, it just feels like October, it feels like Halloween time, and, yeah, it's a really good movie to watch around that time of year. Really fun movie. And I told you guys I owned this. And if you didn't believe me, that's your fault. Okay? Alright? The Sharknado collection on Steelbook. Okay, but come on, look how clean that Steelbook is, though. Look at the derpiness of the shark in the tornado. Come on. Come on now. You know you love the Sharknado movies. By that, I mean you probably all hate the Sharknado movies for the meme that they are, but I like bad shark movies, okay? Well, I like bad movies in general, as I was saying in the last video, but I like bad shark movies. Like, have you ever seen a little movie called House Shark? Because if you haven't, watch it. If you have not seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. You will either think it is the funniest thing of all time, or you will want to kill yourself by the end of the movie. One of the two, and I can't predict the future for you. So I think at the end of the day, you're just going to have to watch House Shark, because, you know, don't you want to know whether you want to live or die? I think you do. Anyway, then we just have it on 2 separate discs. This isn't like a super intricate steelbook or anything, which it shouldn't be. It's the Sharknado movies. I still haven't seen the 6th movie. I actually haven't watched one of these movies for a long time. I'd say over like a year or two. The only movie I've watched out of this collection is Sharknado 1. I mean, I've seen the other ones. I just haven't opened up this collection and watched my copies of the other ones. But I do enjoy them. Like, I don't know why I never watch them. I just don't. Anyway, David Cronenberg's Shivers. I'm going to come right out and say it. I think I prefer this to The Fly. I think I do. If you prefer The Fly, that's cool. But I think I prefer Shivers. I think parasites are super creepy anyway. And of course, in this movie, you have these creepy-ass little slug things that are like crawling in people's mouths and shit. You have that still right there. Yeah, that's a treasure. Look at that and then go to sleep. Look at that and then just go to sleep at night. Just pretend like that slug-infested humanoid is reading you a bedtime story. I enjoy Shivers. I think it's a very good movie. I've only seen it once. I think I watched it last January for the first time. I haven't really watched it since. There's a lot on my plate. There's a lot of horror movies that I'm trying to get to, so I can't just rewatch movies over and over and over again, even though I would like to. Though some of them, of course, it's not optional. Movies, you know, movies like Color Out of Space or Suspiria, I just rattle off watches. Silent Rage with Chuck Norris. Is this a horror movie? That's debatable. But, God, is it bad. It doesn't matter whether it's horror or not. This is a bad movie. And oof. Oh, God. I own Silent Rage with Chuck Norris. What has my life become? I own Silent Rage, Chuck Norris. Yeah, I'm not proud of my decisions, but, you know, at the end of the day, I can't really say anything nice about this movie. It's so stupid. Was that this movie? I'm thinking of a scene in a bar where Chuck Norris just kicks, like, everyone's ass, and I can't remember if that was this movie, or if that was Badge of Silence? Code of Silence. Can't remember if it was this movie or if it was Code of Silence, but I don't know. Either way, whichever movie that's in, I enjoy that scene. Spiral from the Book of Saw. This was a rather enjoyable movie. The twist as to who the killer was, I wasn't huge on. I thought it was kind of stupid, but what do I know? It's another convoluted Saw movie. They're all pretty convoluted, but I don't know. It's a decent movie, and it's better than Jigsaw. So, at least I think so. And Survival of the Dead. I ended up buying this at the Dollar Tree, which I was pretty hyped about, because I had heard this film is dog shit. Now, I don't agree with that statement. I actually think this is a rather enjoyable zombie movie, and I think the people who thought this movie was dog shit were just, I think they were kind of comparing it to Romero's other movies a little too much. They were just hoping that it would be of the same quality as Dawn of the Dead, or like Night of the Living Dead. Kind of like I did with Peninsula with Train to Busan. I think they were just let down, because this is actually a fairly serviceable zombie movie. This isn't Day of the Dead Bloodline or anything, which I also own. Though I own that on DVD. And I don't necessarily hate that film either, but I also recognize that it is a trash tier film that probably isn't meant for human eyes. This movie, on the other hand, I think is perfectly fine. Of course it's got issues, but I think it's fairly alright. Suspiria. This is the remake. The original 1977 film is over in my Italian collection. I have the Synapse Blu-ray of the original one, which the original, let's just get that out of the way. The original is one of my favorite films of all time. So, this movie had some mighty big booties to fill, and it did not. I was kind of let down by this movie, not because it didn't do what the 1977 Suspiria did, because that's great. I'm glad this movie didn't do the same thing, because I think the 1977 one did what it was trying to do perfectly. I don't need that done again. This movie did a more almost, it wasn't made by A24, but it was like an almost A24 approach to the Suspiria story. And that's really cool, but I just don't think it was executed quite well enough. At points in this movie, it feels a bit boring. And a bit like it goes into these like weird subplots. One in particular that's coming to mind, which kind of threw me off, because I was like, that's weird. It has something to do with some outside person who I don't quite remember if he has anything to do with the Academy or anything. I don't know. This movie's just kind of boring at parts. But I mean, the dance scene, though, let's just call it the dance scene, vicious as all living hell. Absolutely horrifying. And this is going to be the last Blu-ray of the video. And that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original 1974, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love this movie. I think it's terrifying. I treasure the manic work of psychotic genius this movie is. Just the way this movie's shot, you feel the desert. You feel how hot this movie is. You feel the panic, which a lot of that panic was real. I mean, these actors were miserable 24/7 on set. And I think the movie's better for it, which is kind of messed up to say, because obviously set conditions should not be like that. But I think if set conditions weren't like that, we may not have gotten the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, because the sense of dread in this movie is so genuine. These are just little, little 70s actors. Little 70s horror movie actors, they could have easily hammed this movie up, which they did at parts. I mean, there were parts of this movie that maybe were like a little cheesy or corny or whatever, but the overall film is so completely disturbing and terrifying and fantastic. This movie feels like a panic attack put to film. At least like the last 20 to 30 minutes. It just feels like a perpetual panic attack. Alliteration. And I love that about it. I think I've gushed enough about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But seriously, first of all, if you haven't seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you give yourself a slap on the hand. You tell yourself, bad human, and you go watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I cannot stress to you how amazing it is. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Holy shit. That wasn't very long for you guys, maybe. I don't know. Maybe listening to me drone on makes it seem longer than it is, which is perfectly acceptable and perfectly normal, and it's okay that you feel that way, Jimbo. You know. But you do want a partner, right? Oh, yeah, Dad, I want a partner. I don't know why I just decided to break out into American Pie quotes, but I'm not even going to try to justify it. I'm also not going to try to say that those were direct quotes. But, I don't know, guys. At the end of the day, your Uncle Mort pets the one-eyed snake 5 to 6 times a day. And, I'll catch you guys on the next one.